Today on CityCast Denver. Is Denver really the land of fashionless schmucks? Do we always choose comfort over style? Are you wearing cargo shorts and a puffy coat right now? Little Fresh Sam is a fashion designer and stylist, and she's got hot takes on all of Denver's best fits and flubs. Sam grew up in the metro area, but found her way to LA, where her clients include Doja Cat and Netflix. Sam may be a West Coaster now, but she visits her hometown often and has a lot to say about how we dress and what we could do better. Today is Monday, November 28th, 2022. I'm Bree Davies, and this is CityCast Denver. Lil Fresh Sam, welcome to CityCast Denver.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, you're a fashion expert, and I just have to ask straight out, does Denver have style?
Denver has a very unique, identifiable style. It's probably not what most people think. If you have never been to Denver, they still think like we have farms and horses all over and like a city doesn't exist. If you have been to Denver, you know like Patagonia, North Face, cargo shorts, pants, hiking boots, pretty athletic wear is in. I would say that's Colorado's style. You know, it's not a streetwear city. It's more of like athletic wear style.
It's interesting you say that because that's kind of how I know your work as a designer is like streetwear is your element. And I wonder, you know, growing up here, how did our style influence you, or maybe in the opposite, did it like push you to go outside of what you were seeing here in Denver?
It did, actually. It definitely had that effect. I was so turned off from screen printing t-shirts when I first initially started. And that was like basically the only resource I had to creating clothing. And so I just saw it everywhere. And that was the only way that people were designing their own clothes is screen printing t-shirts here in Colorado. So it did push me. It pushed me to try things differently and create from my mind, because I always had these visions in my head of what I'd like to see designed or what I'd like to wear, even in high school or middle school. And then, you know, being blocked with the resources here was a big thing. So it pushed me to go to LA, and I was able to flourish and really understand what my style is without being confined in, you know, the Colorado box. Also, it's like interesting. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but when you wear, you know, a loud style or a very unique, different style from what Denver is used to, you get stared at a lot. And so it's kind of uncomfortable to be yourself here.
Sam, you're touching on my experience growing up here as a teenager in the 90s who was extremely fashion forward in terms of I was wearing what I was seeing on MTV. I was wearing what Courtney Love was wearing. I was wearing what Mary J. Blige was wearing. And I was picked on at school relentlessly for that. Do you think that we've evolved in a way like it's no longer like you can wear streetwear or you can wear things that are not the Patagonia North Face style and actually fit into Denver now?
Yeah, we've progressed so much, especially, you know, 2022 today. I'm really happy to see that when I go out, we recently had a fashion show in Denver, July 23rd of this year. And I remember walking in because I was living in LA, and I flew in, I walked into the fashion show, and after, you know, setting all the models up, I got to see the crowd, and I was like blown away. I was like, wait, am I in Denver right now? Because it was so many unique styles, individual styles that were being expressed. And it was really refreshing to see that. I think we're in a time where you can, you know, express yourself and it not be as weird, but we still have this like barrier we need to break through where people can wear whatever they want and not be stared at or feel uncomfortable, because that still is a reality.
Yeah, totally. Do you feel like you had to go, you've been in LA for a couple years, do you feel like you had to go to LA to really be able to explore more in the fashion world? Like, do you feel like you came up against something here in Denver that didn't allow you to grow, or sort of what was your process for saying, I got to leave my city to do the work I want to do?
It was the hardest choice I've ever had to make to this day. Leaving everyone I loved to go do what I love at a higher level. It was a really hard decision. I made it when I was 24, I believe, 7 years ago. And I just feel like I had hit a a cap. You know, I wanted to do so many different things with my brand and then my styling. You know, I had to just face reality. We don't have red carpets in Denver. We don't have a lot of music video, high level production shot in Denver. You know, we don't have movies and TV shows being shot in Denver. So if I wanted to take my career in that route, I had to just make the move. And that's what I did. I took the leap of faith. It was, like I said, the scariest thing I've ever done. I remember moving to Koreatown, was the first city I lived in LA, 2015. And I had the biggest culture shock coming from Thornton and Denver. Like, I was like, wait, what? All this culture, it's amazing. And I got consumed in it and loved it. And it amplified my creativity, I really believe. Just having access to so many cultures and just so many different perspectives. You know, there's a lot of people in LA, which left a lot of room for inspiration.
Yeah. So Denver just wrapped up its own fashion week here, and you're a stylist, you're a fashion designer. What do you think about Denver having a fashion week?
Okay, so this is a question I'd like to talk about in a positive light. I see Denver being able to have a fashion week that is comparable, you know, to an LA fashion week or a New York fashion week. I don't think we're there yet. I think there's a lot of things that need to happen, and I'm working on doing my part in that. I don't like how it's ran right now. I don't like the fact that it's the problem I had as a creative when I was in my 20s, right? Like when I was just starting 19. We deserve to be paid for our creativity. We deserve to be paid for our, you know, for you wanting us to show up and walk in the show, or for makeup artists to be able to make those beautiful faces, you know, and the hairstylist. It takes so many people to create an incredible fashion show at the level, you know, New York does it, Paris does it, and all those people get paid. And so I would love to see, you know, whether that's through the city of Denver. You know, I'm working directly with the city of Denver to put on fashion shows, and they have budgets, and we've been able to pay every model and pay every, you know, designer and hairstylist and everybody that plays a part in making it the greatness that it is. And so I think, you know, just inclusivity. I'd love to see more different people show up in representation of their culture. You know, we're still kind of back to that like stigma of like, you know, it's all love. I don't have anything against anyone. I love everyone, and I'm a very inclusive person, have been since I started my brand, and was very aware of like making sure, you know, I had models of all representation. And I don't see that here in Denver Fashion Week. So I'd love to see that. I'd love to see the talent get paid because they deserve it.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see us expand.
I think your critique is so important. And I say this as a person who had the same critiques of the art and music world here for a long time. Don't ask us to do a lot of work and not pay us. Like, the economics need to catch up with the art form, because that's the only way it's actually going to grow, right? And I think that's all you're saying is like, I love it. I think it's amazing. I know that there's some inherently flawed parts of Fashion Week, which is, I know a lot of people that aren't getting paid. And I imagine for you, that's part of the reason you were like, man, I'm out of here. Like, I'm going to go somewhere where I can get paid to do my work. And also other folks around me who are part of this ecosystem of fashion are getting paid too. And I think it's important for us to talk about that.
It is. And, you know, some people take it personal, and it's never personal. It's just for the greater good of Denver Fashion Week, right? Like, we all want to see it grow and become something that's even recognized globally. So to do that, we have to take it at a level of professionalism, you know, that it is. And so if you're not getting paid what you believe you're worth, it kind of diminishes your work. And so that happening over and over is a real big problem here in Denver.
Well, and I'm also thinking about, okay, so part of it probably is it can be harder to attract an audience. And I think for a Denver Fashion Week, for instance, and part of that maybe is this assumption that Colorado has no style, right? Like, how could Colorado understand fashion when in reality there are folks here challenging norms of fashion and ideas and bringing new ideas. But how do we bring that audience in? I think that's the struggle for most artists that are doing things sort of like DIY or in their own world, is like, we're doing something amazing. I don't know how to get the average person in to pay attention to the actual fashion scene in Denver.
First and foremost, whatever you're producing has to be great, right? And that was one of the greatest quotes that I lived by and pushed me throughout my career in Denver was, be so great they can't ignore you. So using like, that's every day I would wake up and work my ass off and like just think about that quote. And to create community here, I think we need to, one, be our best selves, and then two, show up where there are others wanting to be their best selves, and then start creating that community.
So I want to switch gears a little bit because I know that you are styling Representative Leslie Herod, who's also on the campaign trail right now. She's running for mayor. And I know you as somebody that styles musicians and artists. How do you approach dressing a politician?
It's very different. But, you know, Leslie was one of my first styling clients ever, actually. So 14 or 13, I met her in the back of Manual High School. I was giving a speech on believing in yourself and doing what you love for a living. And we met, and then I had started, you know, I let her know what I do. And at that time I was just kind of making it work. I wasn't really styling at a professional level, but she didn't know that. And I didn't know that really. So I just did the thing and she liked it. And I kept, you know, we just kept working together. So when I approach an everyday person or a politician or an entrepreneur versus like a music video, it's all about getting to know the person, knowing what they want, what they feel comfortable in, what they feel great in. You know, my goal is to always make them feel like $1 million. And so it's not as different as you would think from styling a celebrity. The process is very similar, just understanding them.
Yeah. I just think about the messages that get sent through fashion when we're talking about someone like a politician. Like Kamala Harris kind of got a little bit of guff for wearing Converse in a photo or something. And it was like, well, that makes her relatable to me. But some people say, oh, that's unprofessional. So it's like an interesting balance where you want Leslie to really shine, but also it has to like fit the room and the experience, you know, like politics can be kind of stuffy.
Right. And I think that's the greatest, coolest thing with Leslie is like, she already is so relatable by the people. Her style is just another factor that fits in. She, you know, she doesn't always wear a suit and tie or, you know, prim and proper. I think she's already been herself throughout her whole, you know, from state representative to now, she's always been true to herself. And I think that has made my job easier because if she does want to wear Converse and, you know, a photo shoot, it's not going to be weird. It's not going to be out of place because that's just who she's been her whole campaign. So Leslie has her, you know, her colors, her brand colors, purple. So she's done a good job of styling herself too. I will give her credit because she styled a lot of her. I've been in LA. So when she calls me, she's like, hey, I need this or that. I'm like, girl, I need a little bit of notice because I'm in LA. So she's been doing a great job herself as well. We actually have a styling session coming up where I'm going to basically go in her closet and really give her a closet cleanse, take out what's not working, identify what is working, and then add in additional items that I think she could use. So you may see a difference in her style, you may not, because like I said, she's been doing a great job herself.
I'm going to ask you for one last spicy take. You mentioned giving someone a closet cleanse. Does Denver need a closet cleanse? Is there something that we do or we wear that you, every time you see it, you just go, why are we doing this?
That's so funny. I don't want to hate on it because there's so many people who wear this here. And I'm going to create an alternative. So come see me December 3rd. By the way, I have a pop-up launching, 3-month pop-up here in Denver. In fact, we'll have it on 26th and Walnut. So come and see me. I'll give you an alternative. But I cannot stand the tan basic cargo pants anymore. It's just not a good look. Like, let's remix it. Let's reconstruct it.
Why are you still wearing khaki cargo pants, Denver?
Let's change it up.
It's 2022. That also reminds me. Do you feel like there's like, you know, the Denver, like the starter pack meme? Do you think we have like a Denver starter pack?
Absolutely. Cargo pants, whether it's shorts or cargo pants, you know, the hiking boots or, you know, Nike shoes, athletic shoes, and then a Patagonia jacket or a North Face. Either one, I won't be biased, but one of the two bubbly jackets and, you know, Crocs if it's warm, boots if it's cold, Uggs if it's cold. We don't really care about our style here, but whoever does, come and see me. I'd love to elevate and help however I can while I'm here.
I might need to hire you because you're describing pretty much what I walked out of the house in today. And no offense, I mean, I'm fully owning this terribleness. Well, Little Fresh Sam, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so awesome. I feel like I've known you for so long, but never really been able to connect like this. So it's awesome. Thank you for having this conversation.
Thank you. I feel the same way about you. I was like, man, I've just been following your career for so long and all the work that you do. And I'm so glad we got to talk. And here's what else Denverites are talking about. Giving Tuesday. It's tomorrow. And while I personally think it's perfectly okay to give back and support your neighbors any time of the year, nonprofits do sometimes get additional funds if you do it tomorrow. So in the spirit of giving, we've rounded up a few of our favorite local charities and nonprofits that could use your support. You can find a link to that list in our show notes and subscribe to our newsletter, Hey Denver, for even more opportunities to give back throughout the holiday season. And speaking of the holidays, we want to hear from you. What's your favorite Christmas, Hanukkah, or Kwanzaa tradition in Denver? This was a tough year, so let's share some love and come together over the best holiday goodness within driving distance. Leave us a voicemail with your recommendation, name, and neighborhood, and we might play it on the show. Our number is 720-500-5418. Again, that number is 720-500-5418. That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. If you enjoyed the show, why not take a minute to tell your friend who buys clothes at Costco about us? Rate the show wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe to our morning newsletter, Hey Denver, by texting Denver to 66866. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye-bye. Who's the least fashion-forward person in our state? I'm trying to figure out who we should tell about this. Tell Hickenlooper's stylist about us. Oh, wait, he doesn't have one. I'm just kidding. Is that rude? Am I being rude?